Welcome back to Stamps Old World US. Today we are exploring one of the most beautiful and historic American airmail stamps ever issued by the United States Post Office. This striking red 5-cent U.S. airmail stamp celebrates the golden anniversary of California statehood and honors the remarkable growth of aviation across the Pacific and the American West. For collectors, historians, and investors, this small piece of paper tells an incredible story that connects transportation, communication, and American history in a way few stamps ever could. At first glance, the stamp immediately captures attention with its rich red color and elegant design. The words United States Postage appear proudly across the top, while U.S. Airmail and the 5-cent denomination are displayed at the bottom. In the center of the stamp is a map featuring California and the Hawaiian Islands surrounded by airplanes flying across the Pacific skies. The design symbolizes the development of air routes that transformed communication between the mainland United States and Hawaii. During the early days of commercial aviation, this stamp was issued during the golden age of aviation, when flying across oceans was considered one of humanity's greatest achievements. During the 1930s and early 1940s, air travel represented speed, progress, and the future. Every new route opened another chapter in world communication, and stamps such as this became ambassadors of that exciting new era. Millions of Americans collected stamps, featuring airplanes because they represented adventure and technological progress unlike anything the world had seen before. The historical significance of this stamp goes far beyond postage. During the years when this stamp circulated, letters that once required weeks to cross the Pacific Ocean could suddenly arrive in just days. Families separated by thousands of miles could communicate faster than ever before. Businesses expanded internationally, and governments relied on airmail to move important documents quickly and securely. Every letter carrying this stamp became part of a revolution in communication. Collectors often admire this issue because of its beautiful artwork. The aircraft flying around the map create a sense of movement and excitement. The detailed engraving style reflects the incredible craftsmanship of stamp designers during the classic era of United States philately. Unlike many modern stamps produced with digital printing methods, vintage engraved stamps possess texture, depth, and character that collectors continue to appreciate generations later. Now let us discuss the question that every collector wants answered. What is the market value of this stamp today in United States dollars? The answer depends heavily on condition, centering, gum quality, and whether the stamp is mint or used. A used example with a cancellation mark generally sells for between $1 and $3 in today's collector market. A mint never-hinged example with original gum and excellent centering usually sells for between $5 and $15. Exceptional examples graded by professional grading companies can achieve prices between $20 and $50 or even higher if they possess extraordinary quality and perfect centering. If the stamp is found in a complete sheet, on an original first-day cover or attached to historic postal mail from its period of use, the value can increase significantly. Postal history collectors often pay premiums for covers that demonstrate actual usage during important periods of aviation history. Some specialized examples associated with inaugural flights or unusual destinations can command much stronger prices at auction depending on rarity and provenance. One of the most important lessons for new collectors is understanding that condition determines value. A stamp with sharp perforations, vibrant color, no tears, no creases, and excellent centering will always command a stronger market price than an average example. Even small defects such as thins, stains, heavy cancellations, or missing perforations can reduce value substantially. Professional collectors spend years learning how to evaluate condition because tiny details can make enormous differences in price. Another reason collectors love this stamp is affordability. Unlike famous rare stamps worth thousands or millions of dollars, this issue allows beginners to own an authentic piece of American aviation history without spending a fortune. For only a few dollars, a collector can hold a genuine artifact from the golden age of flight. This accessibility makes the stamp especially popular among new collectors entering the hobby for the first time. The market for classic United States airmail stamps remains stable because demand continues to come from collectors around the world. American airmail issues are admired internationally for their artistic beauty and historical significance. While this particular stamp may not be considered rare, it remains highly collectible because it represents an important chapter in the story of aviation and communication. Many collectors specifically build collections dedicated entirely to U.S. airmail stamps, and this issue often becomes one of the highlights of those collections. For investors, stamps should be viewed primarily as historical collectibles rather than quick profit opportunities. The greatest rewards in philately often come from knowledge, research, and appreciation of history. Collectors who understand the stories behind their stamps frequently enjoy the hobby far more than those focused only on prices. Fortunately, this stamp offers both history and value, making it an excellent addition to almost any collection. When purchasing examples of this stamp, buyers should look for trusted stamp dealers, established auction houses, and professional grading services when possible. Authenticity is rarely an issue with this particular issue because it was printed in large quantities, but buying from reputable sources always provides confidence and peace of mind. The story behind this stamp reminds us that postage stamps are much more than payment for mail delivery. They are miniature works of art, historical documents, and windows into the dreams and achievements of earlier generations. This 5-cent U.S. airmail stamp celebrates an era when aviation connected distant lands and inspired millions of people to imagine a smaller, faster, and more connected world. For collectors watching this video today, perhaps the greatest value of this stamp cannot be measured in dollars at all. Its true value lies in the history it preserves, the stories it tells, and the passion it inspires in collectors across generations. Every stamp album contains pieces of human history, and every stamp has a story waiting to be discovered. Next up, the 2018 United States Airmail Forever stamp. This remarkable stamp was released to honor 100 years of American airmail service and pays tribute to the brave pilots, postal workers, and aviation pioneers who changed communication forever. Although it was issued only recently compared with classic stamps from the early 20th century, this issue has already become a favorite among collectors of modern United States stamps and aviation history enthusiasts around the world. The first thing that captures attention is the bold and elegant design. The stamp features a classic biplane flying directly toward the viewer, creating a feeling of motion and adventure. Across the top proudly appears the word United States, while the bottom displays the words Airmail in large, impressive letters. The stamp also includes the year 1918, marking the beginning of regular United States airmail service, and the word Forever, which means the stamp will always be valid for mailing a standard first-class letter regardless of future postage increases. This stamp was issued in 2018 to celebrate the Centennial anniversary of American airmail service. The original airmail service began in 1918 when mail was transported by airplane between major cities in the eastern United States. At the time, this was considered one of the greatest technological achievements in the world. Letters that once required days or even weeks to travel could suddenly arrive much faster than ever before. The introduction of airmail changed business, government, commerce, and personal communication forever. Millions of people experienced faster connections with family members and friends because of the development of air transportation. The stamp itself honors the legendary Curtiss JN-4H biplane, one of the aircraft used during the earliest days of American airmail service. These aircraft were simple by modern standards, with open cockpits and limited navigation equipment. Pilots often flew through storms, fog, snow, and difficult weather conditions using only rivers, railroads, and roads below them for navigation. Their courage helped create the global air transportation system that we take for granted today. This stamp serves as a tribute to those aviation pioneers and their remarkable achievements. Collectors especially admire the engraving style used in the design. The detailed lines and traditional appearance give the stamp the look and feel of classic United States airmail issues from the early 20th century. Many philatelists consider it one of the most attractive modern United States stamps because it successfully combines modern printing technology with the artistic style of historic engraved stamps. The design was created specifically to resemble the famous airmail stamps that collectors have loved for generations. Now let us discuss the question that every collector wants answered. What is the market value of the 2018 United States Airmail Forever stamp today in United States dollars? Since this stamp was printed in very large quantities, individual examples remain affordable and accessible to collectors of all budgets. A single used example generally sells for approximately 80 cents to $1 depending on condition and demand. A mint never-hinged example in excellent condition typically sells for around $1.50 to $2. Examples still attached in complete panes or unopened post office sheets often command higher prices, especially if preserved perfectly. Collectors should remember that condition remains the most important factor in determining value. A stamp with bright color, sharp corners, clean perforations, and no bends or damage will always bring stronger prices than an example showing creases, stains, tears, or heavy cancellations. Professional grading services may assign premium grades to exceptional examples, and these graded copies can sell for considerably more than ordinary examples found in collections. One reason collectors enjoy this stamp is that it combines historical importance with affordability. Many classic United States airmail stamps from the early 20th century can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars, placing them beyond the reach of many beginning collectors. This issue allows anyone to own a beautiful, commemorative honoring one of the most important events in postal history without making a major financial investment. The stamp was officially issued on August 11, 2018, and was printed using traditional intaglio printing methods that create exceptional detail and texture. More than 20 million copies were produced, ensuring that collectors across the country could easily obtain examples for their collections. The stamp was released in panes of 20 and quickly became popular among both stamp collectors and aviation enthusiasts. As a forever stamp, this issue also has an interesting financial aspect. Unlike traditional stamps with printed denominations, a forever stamp always retains the value of current first-class postage rates. Even though the stamp originally represented a 50-cent postage value in 2018, it can still be used for mailing today regardless of how much postage prices have increased since then. This unique feature makes forever stamps both practical and collectible. For investors, this stamp should primarily be viewed as a historical collectible rather than a rare investment item. Because millions were printed, dramatic price increases are unlikely in the near future. However, high-grade examples, first-day covers, ceremonial issue items, and complete panes preserved, in perfect condition may appreciate gradually, over time as collectors seek well-preserved examples for specialized collections. Many collectors build entire albums dedicated to United States aviation stamps, and this issue has become an essential part of those collections. It represents not only the beginning of airmail service, but also the spirit of innovation that defined the 20th century. Every airplane that carried mail helped shrink distances and connect communities in ways that previous generations could never have imagined. When looking at this stamp, it is easy to forget that behind the beautiful design lies a story of determination and courage. Early airmail pilots risked their lives to prove that air transportation could become reliable and practical. They flew through dangerous conditions without modern instruments or advanced weather forecasting. Their efforts helped create today's global transportation networks and forever changed how the world communicates. For new collectors watching today, this stamp offers an excellent opportunity to begin exploring the fascinating world of United States airmail issues. It is affordable, historically important, visually attractive, and widely available. Few stamps combine so many positive qualities in a single issue. Perhaps the greatest value of this stamp cannot be measured in dollars alone. Its true worth comes from the history it preserves and the story it tells about innovation, courage, and progress. Every collector who places this stamp into an album becomes part of the ongoing effort to preserve postal history for future generations. Next up, the beautiful 2018 United States Airmail Forever stamp in its striking blue design. This stamp was released to celebrate 100 years of United States airmail service, honoring the brave men and women who transformed communication forever by taking mail to the skies. Although this stamp is modern, its design proudly reflects the classic style of early American airmail stamps that collectors have admired for Generations. The first thing collectors notice about this stamp is its rich blue, color and detailed engraving style. Dominating the center is a classic biplane flying directly toward the viewer, its propeller spinning as if it is carrying precious letters across America. Above the aircraft are the words United States, while below are the words Airmail, creating a design that feels both timeless and powerful. The stamp also includes the year 1918, marking the birth of regular United States airmail service, and the word forever, meaning that the stamp remains valid for first-class postage no matter how much postal rates increase in the future. The year 1918 marked one of the most important turning points in postal history. On May 15, 1918, the United States Post Office Department launched the nation's first regularly scheduled airmail service. The first routes connected Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. At the time, many people doubted whether airplanes could reliably carry mail. Aircraft were fragile, weather forecasting was primitive, and navigation systems simply did not exist. Pilots often relied on railroads, rivers, roads, and landmarks below them to find their way through the skies. The early airmail pilots were among the bravest individuals of their generation. They flew open cockpit aircraft through rain, snow, fog, and strong winds. Many flew without radios and with only basic instruments. Emergency landings were common, and mechanical failures were a constant danger. Yet despite these challenges, these pioneers proved that air transportation could revolutionize communication. Their courage laid the foundation for the modern airline industry that connects our world today. This beautiful Blue Airmail Forever stamp was issued in 2018 to commemorate the centennial anniversary of that historic achievement. The United States Postal Service chose a traditional engraved appearance that closely resembles the classic airmail issues of the 1920s and 1930s. The detailed lines, decorative borders, and vintage typography immediately remind collectors of the golden age of aviation and stamp production. Many philatelists consider this one of the finest modern American stamp designs because it successfully combines history with contemporary postal needs. Now let us discuss the market value of this stamp in today's collector market. Since this issue was printed in very large numbers for nationwide postal use, it remains affordable and accessible to collectors of every budget level. A single mint, unused example generally sells for between $1 and $2 depending on condition and demand. Used examples with postal cancellations typically sell for between 50 cents and $1. Complete panes of 20 stamps usually trade for $25 to $35 depending on the current forever stamp. Postage rate and collector interest. Collectors who own official first day covers featuring this issue may find stronger values in the marketplace. First day covers with clear postmarks from the official first day ceremony often sell for $5 to $15 depending on presentation and condition. Limited edition ceremony programs and souvenir items released during the Centennial celebrations can command even higher prices among specialized collectors of United States postal history. As with every collectible stamp, condition plays the most important role in determining market value. Collectors should look for examples with perfect perforations, strong color, no folds, no creases, and clean surfaces. A perfectly centered example where the design sits evenly between all four margins will always attract more interest than a poorly centered copy. Professional grading companies can assign numerical grades to exceptional examples, and stamps receiving very high grades may sell for considerably higher prices than ordinary copies. One fascinating aspect of this issue is the forever designation. Traditional stamps carried fixed denominations such as 5 cents, 10 cents, or 25 cents. Forever stamps operate differently because they always maintain enough value to mail a standard first-class letter regardless of future postage increases. A collector who purchased this stamp in 2018 paid the first-class postage rate at that time. Yet the same stamp remains fully valid today, despite several postal rate increases over the years. Many collectors believe that modern, forever stamps represent an important chapter in postal history because they reflect changing economic conditions and evolving mailing practices. Future generations may look back at these issues with the same fascination that today's collectors have for early 20th century commemoratives and airmail stamps. The design of this stamp also pays tribute to the famous Curtiss Jenny aircraft, family that became synonymous with early American aviation. Thousands of Americans received their first introduction to flying through these aircraft after the First World War. Barnstorming pilots traveled across rural America performing aerial stunts and offering passenger flights to curious spectators. The romance and excitement of flight captured the imagination of an entire nation, and stamps celebrating aviation quickly became some of the most popular issues ever produced by the United States Post Office. Collectors of aviation stamps often build specialized collections featuring aircraft, pilots, airports, zeppelins, and historic flights. This 2018 Airmail Forever issue fits perfectly into such collections because it celebrates not just a single airplane or route, but the entire history of American airmail service over a full century of operation. Investment potential for this stamp remains moderate because of its large print quantities. However, high-grade examples, intact panes, first-day covers, and special event memorabilia may experience gradual appreciation over time as collectors seek complete Centennial collections. While few experts expect dramatic price increases, the stamp's historical importance ensures that collector demand will likely remain steady for many years. Perhaps the most important value of this stamp is not measured in dollars at all. Its true worth lies in the story it tells about innovation, determination, and human ambition. Every time we send an email or receive a package delivered by air, we benefit from the efforts of those early pilots who risked everything to prove that aviation could connect the world. For beginning collectors, this stamp offers an ideal starting point. It is affordable, attractive, historically important, and easy to obtain. For experienced collectors, it serves as a meaningful reminder of the incredible journey from fragile biplanes carrying sacks of letters to modern aircraft transporting millions of pieces of mail around the globe every single day. As we look at this beautiful blue Airmail Forever stamp, we are reminded that stamps are much more than pieces of paper used to pay postage. They are miniature history books, works of art, and lasting tributes to the achievements that shaped our world. Every stamp preserves a moment in time, and every collection becomes a museum of human progress. Next up, the legendary 10-cent Lindbergh Airmail stamp, also known among collectors as the Spirit of St. Louis issue. This remarkable stamp celebrates one of the greatest achievements in aviation history, Charles Lindbergh's historic non-stop solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean in 1927. Even nearly a century later, this stamp remains one of the most recognizable and beloved American airmail stamps ever produced. The moment collectors see this stamp, they immediately recognize its historic significance. The design features the famous Spirit of St. Louis aircraft flying between New York and Paris, symbolizing Lindbergh's incredible journey that captured the imagination of the entire world. The map in the background highlights the route that transformed aviation from an experimental technology into a practical method of international transportation. Across the top of the stamp are the words United States Postage and Airmail Service, while the denomination of 10 cents appears boldly in both lower corners. To understand why this stamp is so important, we must travel back to May of 1927. At that time, aviation was still in its infancy. Airplanes were fragile machines made primarily of wood and fabric. Most people had never flown in an aircraft, and many experts doubted that long-distance international flights were even possible. The Orteig Prize offered $25,000 to the first aviator who could successfully fly non-stop between New York and Paris. Many experienced pilots attempted the challenge, and several tragically lost their lives trying to achieve the impossible. Then came a relatively unknown young pilot named Charles Lindbergh. At only 25 years old, Lindbergh decided to attempt the flight alone in a specially designed aircraft built in San Diego, California. On May 20th, 1927, he departed Roosevelt Field in New York and began one of the most daring journeys in human history. For 33.5 hours, he flew alone across the Atlantic Ocean facing exhaustion, poor weather, darkness, and constant danger. Finally, on May 21st, 1927, he landed safely at Le Bourget Airport near Paris, where hundreds of thousands of cheering people welcomed him as a hero. The successful flight instantly made Charles Lindbergh one of the most famous people in the world. Newspapers called him the Lone Eagle. Crowds gathered wherever he traveled. His achievement inspired a new generation of pilots and convinced governments and businesses that international aviation had an incredible future. Airlines expanded rapidly, aircraft technology improved dramatically, and public confidence in air travel grew almost overnight. The United States Post Office quickly recognized the importance of aviation and began issuing stamps that celebrated these achievements. The Lindbergh Airmail stamp became one of the symbols of this exciting new era. The image of the Spirit of St. Louis crossing the Atlantic represented courage, determination, innovation, and the limitless possibilities of flight. Collectors particularly admire the artistic design of this stamp. The detailed engraving captures the aircraft beautifully, while the map of the Atlantic Ocean creates a sense of movement and adventure. The deep blue color gives the issue an elegant and timeless appearance. Many philatelists consider this one of the finest examples of classic American stamp engraving. Now let us discuss the market value of this famous stamp in today's collector market. The value depends heavily on condition, centering, gum quality, and whether the stamp is mint or used. A used example with a normal cancellation generally sells for between $5 and $15 in today's market. A mint never-hinged example with original gum and strong centering usually sells for between $20 and $60. Exceptionally well-centered examples certified by professional grading companies can sell for $100, $200, or even more depending on grade and rarity. Collectors should understand that stamp grading plays a major role in determining value. Two stamps that appear almost identical to the casual observer may have dramatically different prices because of centering or gum condition. A perfectly centered example with large margins and fresh color can command many times the value of an average copy. First, day covers bearing this stamp are especially popular with collectors of American aviation history. Depending on rarity and presentation, these covers may sell for $50 to several $100s. Covers associated with early transatlantic flights or special aviation events can achieve even higher auction prices among specialized collectors. Another important factor affecting value is authenticity and condition. Collectors should inspect stamps carefully for tears, creases, thins, repairs, fading, or missing perforations. Professional certificates from recognized expertising organizations provide additional confidence when purchasing higher value. Examples: the Lindbergh stamp occupies a special place in American philately because it combines several collecting themes at once. Aviation collectors admire it because of its connection to one of history's greatest flights. Postal historians value it because it represents the rapid expansion of international airmail service. United States collectors appreciate it because it is one of the iconic issues of the golden age of American stamp. Design investment potential for this issue remains strong compared with many other classic American stamps because demand continues to come from multiple collecting communities around the world. While it may never reach the extraordinary prices of famous rarities such as the inverted Jenny, the Lindbergh Airmail stamp remains one of the cornerstone issues in many serious United States collections. For beginning collectors, owning this stamp provides an opportunity to possess a genuine piece of aviation history. Every time you look at the image of the Spirit of St. Louis, you are reminded of a moment when human determination overcame enormous obstacles and changed the world forever. Perhaps the greatest value of this stamp cannot be measured simply in dollars and cents. Its true worth lies in the story it tells about courage, ambition, and exploration. Charles Lindbergh's flight inspired millions of people to believe that impossible dreams could become reality through hard work and perseverance. As collectors, we preserve these stories for future generations. Every stamp album becomes a museum of human achievement, and every stamp becomes a messenger from the past, carrying history forward into the future. Next up, the beautiful 30-cent United States Airmail stamp featuring the famous Douglas DC-4 Skymaster aircraft. This stamp represents an important chapter in the history of aviation, global communication, and the rapid expansion of international air transportation after the Second World War. For collectors of aviation stamps and postal history enthusiasts, This issue remains a wonderful reminder of the era when air travel was transforming the world. At first glance, the stamp immediately captures attention with its elegant blue design and powerful image of the aircraft soaring across the sky. The airplane dominates the center of the stamp, its four engines symbolizing power, speed, and reliability. Below the aircraft appear the words Airmail and the denomination of 30 cents, while United States of America stretches proudly across the bottom of the design. The simple yet striking appearance reflects the classic engraving traditions that made American airmail stamps famous throughout the world. This stamp was issued during an era when aviation represented the future of international communication. Before widespread commercial air travel, letters sent overseas often traveled by ship and could require weeks to reach their destinations. The expansion of airmail service changed everything. Mail that once crossed oceans in weeks could now arrive within days. Businesses expanded internationally, families remained connected across continents, and governments communicated faster than ever before. The aircraft featured on this stamp is widely recognized as the Douglas DC-4 Skymaster, one of the most important transport aircraft of the mid-20th century. Originally developed during the late 1930s and early 1940s, the DC-4 became famous for its reliability and long-range capabilities. During the Second World War, military versions transported troops, supplies, and equipment around the globe. After the war, many of these aircraft were converted for civilian airline service and quickly became the backbone of international aviation. The DC-4 represented a major technological leap forward in aviation history. Equipped with four powerful engines and capable of flying long distances, it connected cities and nations that had previously seemed separated by impossible distances. For postal authorities, aircraft like the DC-4 opened entirely new possibilities for international mail delivery. Airmail service became faster, more dependable, and more efficient than ever before. Collectors appreciate this stamp not only because of its historical significance, but also because of its attractive artistic design. The aircraft appears as if it is climbing confidently toward the future, symbolizing optimism and technological progress. The blue color scheme gives the stamp a classic appearance that collectors have admired for decades. Many philatelists consider United States airmail stamps among the finest engraved stamps ever produced. And this issue continues that proud tradition. Now let us discuss the market value of this stamp in today's collector market. The value varies according to condition, centering, gum quality, and whether the example is mint or used. A typical used example with a cancellation mark generally sells for between $1 and $4. Mint examples with original gum and good centering often sell for between $5 and $15. Exceptional mint never hinged copies in outstanding condition may sell for $20 to $40 or more, particularly if they have been professionally graded and certified. Collectors should remember that condition plays a major role in determining value. Sharp perforations, bright color, clean surfaces, and excellent centering all contribute significantly to desirability. Even minor defects such as creases, tears, stains, or disturbed gum can greatly reduce market value. In philately, preservation is everything. Complete panes, plate blocks, and first-day covers featuring this issue often command stronger prices among specialized collectors. First-day covers with clear postmarks and attractive cachets may sell for $10 to $30 depending on rarity and presentation. Postal history items showing genuine commercial use on international mail routes can be especially desirable among advanced collectors of airmail history. One reason this stamp remains popular is its affordability. Unlike famous rarities that cost thousands or even millions of dollars, this issue allows collectors of every budget to own an authentic piece of aviation history. For only a small investment, collectors can add a beautiful and historically important stamp to their collections. While learning about the development of global air transportation, the market for classic United States airmail stamps remains healthy because aviation themes attract collectors worldwide. Airplanes, pilots, airports, and historic flights form one of the largest specialty areas within philately. The universal appeal of aviation ensures continuing interest in stamps such as this one for many years to come. For investors, This stamp should be viewed primarily as a historical collectible rather than a speculative investment. While dramatic price increases are unlikely due to substantial surviving quantities, premium examples in exceptional condition continue to perform well in specialized auctions and among serious collectors. Quality always remains in demand. The story behind this stamp reminds us how dramatically aviation changed human civilization during the 20th century. What once required weeks by ship suddenly required only days by air. Entire industries emerged around aviation, and international business expanded at unprecedented speed. The humble postage stamp became one of the visible symbols of this incredible transformation. Every letter that traveled with a 30-cent Airmail stamp represented more than simple communication. It represented progress, innovation, and the shrinking distances between nations and people. Millions of letters carrying similar stamps crossed oceans and continents, connecting families, businesses, and governments around the world. For beginning collectors, this stamp offers an excellent opportunity to explore the fascinating field of United States airmail issues. It combines affordability, historical importance, and beautiful design in a single collectible item. For experienced collectors, it serves as an important reminder of the golden age of piston-powered aviation and international airmail service. Perhaps the greatest value of this stamp cannot be measured in dollars alone. Its true worth lies in the history it preserves and the stories it continues to tell future generations. Every stamp represents a moment in time, a technological achievement, or a cultural milestone that shaped the world we live in today. Thank you for joining Stamps Old World US for another incredible journey through the world of classic United States airmail stamps and postal history. If you enjoy learning about vintage stamps, aviation history, and today's collector market values, continue exploring the remarkable stories hidden inside stamp collections around the world. This is Stamps Old World US, where history flies through time one stamp at a time, where every collection preserves the past, and where every stamp carries a story waiting to be discovered by collectors across the globe.